there, creative friends. Are you ready to get started with our first project for the 12 months of wholeness through creativity? If you haven't read the blog post yet, head on over there and read that. That will give you the whole list of supplies and tools that you're going to need to complete this project. But it's pretty short, it's pretty basic, and this is a project that's not going to take you very long. Although that list is given over there, I want to go through in more detail some of the ideas for the papers and show you some of the ways that they're put together, just to give you a little bit more inspiration before we actually put everything together. So let's get started with that. Clear my workspace off here and we'll get started at the beginning. Okay, the first thing on your list is plain paper. This can be plain copy paper. Obviously, you could make a whole book out of this if that's what you wanted, but we want to be a little more creative than that and have a little more inspiration. So I do recommend that you use about a 24 or 28 pound instead of the really thin 20-pound copy paper, but this is one thing that you can use. Another thing is lined paper. And your lines don't have to go straight across. They can go up and down. So just plain old notebook paper with the line sideways is going to work too. Maybe you've got some old notebooks that the pages have started to yellow already. That's going to work just fine. Or maybe some colored notebook paper. These are always fun to add in a little extra pizzazz. Composition paper. Again, the lines can go up and down if you want. A ledger paper. This is a little smaller tablet, but they come in the bigger ones. What do you have laying around like this? The other things that you can use is composition notebooks or journal planners and things. These are stitched books, like your regular composition book. Let's turn these around. Your composition notebooks or your kids' composition notebooks. And these are stitched books, so you can cut the threads here and take them out, and then you've got a full sheet both directions. This is a great way to get your lines running horizontally if you prefer that. Just cut that stitching out, pull the threads out, and then your papers will come out. Obviously, this is a bigger spread than we're going to have in our notebooks, so you're just going to cut them down to size, cutting off both sides and the top or bottom. Like I said, it can be the regular composition paper. It can be the handwriting composition paper. It can be out of a journal that's stitched, or even planners a lot of times will have pages like this that are stitched together. You can use dyed paper. This one is tea dyed. This one is ink dyed. So different colors of dyed paper. Again, this is just the heavier 24 or 28 pound copy paper that's been dyed. And there's all different other kinds of designs of paper lines. Grid paper is very common. You can buy that in a notepad. Dot patterns are very popular right now with bullet journals. You can get the dot or the grid or even the handwriting or other just plain lined writing paper online. You can find places where you can download these and print them off for free. And so that's another way, and print them both sides if you want it on both sides. The same thing with music composition paper. You can buy a pad that will have it going sideways when you put it in your journal, or you can download and print off to have it going horizontal. You can also get composition books of the graph paper. Again, you can cut the threads to keep it whole and large enough for your whole notebook if you want. Another thing that you can use is ledger paper. Again, these sheets can go sideways. So look and see what you've got just in your general office supplies in your home, different types of paper that you might want to use. On to other things that we can add in. Doilies, little ones, big ones, all different sizes are great to put in there for added interest. Not necessarily that you can write a whole lot on them, but you can add them in. Tags is another thing, and especially if you cut them yourself, they can be double tags so that you can have them on both sides, whichever direction you cut. Envelopes, whether this be leftover from your mail or whether it's ones that you make yourself out of pretty paper. I really love to use these in journals, and I'll show you some of the ways that we do it. Your offcuts from your pattern paper or cardstock that you use, you could cut that and you could have a small page there, or you could cut the ends onto it to turn it into a tag page. Your pages do not have to all be the same size. Here's a few other things. These are receipts. Guest checks would work the same way. Again, just fold them and use them that way. Hymns out of a hymn book. It's popular. You can either take them out of a book that's falling apart, or you can photocopy them onto a page, get two to a page. If you want two more on the opposite instead of plain, you can do that. Old books of songs, you can tear those out, or if they're stitched in, you can do the same thing of removing the stitches to keep the pages together. A Bible, don't cut it into your good Bible, but you can pick one up at the thrift store or used bookstore, and you can tear pages out of here and use that in your book. Children's books are another one. Again, if they're stitched, you can keep the pages together, otherwise cut them and fold them in half. We're looking for interest here, not a readable story. This one is a devotional book that's got some poems and quotes and different things like that in here. A regular devotional that has scripture and writings about that would work too. Just regular old books that you find that aren't really important to keep together, especially if you find damaged books where pages are falling out or ripped or something, then you don't feel so bad about cutting into them. But this one happens to be recipes. Obviously, you can find lots of copies of good old classics in used bookstores and thrift stores that are very plentiful and aren't something that has to be saved and treasured. This is a children's book, and because it's horizontal, it's going to be a good one that you can use for folding in half. You're not going to be able to read the story or anything, but you can have some great pictures and some of the words of the story in. And the last one here is sheet music. And again, just tearing that apart and folding them. And there's a lot of options that you can find just going to the thrift store or used bookstore. The last one that I've got here on these specialty papers is even specific planning pages you can print out. You can put those in your journal. Also, whether you're making a journal specifically as a planner or if you're just throwing in some journaling specific pages to use. Of course, the other thing we talked about in the article was your pretty patterned papers. Whatever your style is, I tend to have a lot of vintage or shabby chic things because that's what I enjoy, but find what you enjoy. You can buy individual 12 by 12 sheets, just picking up a couple of the cardstock weight of those, or you can buy pads of the paper or the cardstock in just about any type of theme or design that you would like, whether it's vintage, whether it's more modern, whether it's more bold, all different kinds of things. Like I said, I tend to lean toward the shabby chic and the vintage, but Your vintage can also come in the more industrial type ideas of the papers. A few other ideas. Again, like I said, most of these are more toward the vintage thing, but that may not be your style. Perhaps you want more of a travel notebook or just a general basic life and living type things. There's basic notebooks for that. Maybe your style's a little more whimsical. You can find pads for that. You can pick these up in craft stores and Walmart. Maybe you're more of a glam girl and you prefer a style like that. This one's got more of a planner type theme to it. Also notice these different cutout sizes. Those can come in handy as we get later. Some of the papers are very plain. You're going to be able to write on them. Some of them, this one's glossy. Not going to be as easy to write on, but we can decorate it and use it in other ways. Again, here's planning type ones, writing ones, all different kinds of themes in that one. And here's just a modern black and gold and white theme. So find what you like, pick your design. As I said, you're going to want 2 to 4 sheets probably of the cardstock, and then up to maybe 6 sheets of the paper weight of those. Again, you can make your notebook with cardstock, all cardstock, or even with all watercolor paper or something like that. But those thicker pages, you're going to need to put quite a few less in than if you've got more of a normal paper weight in there. The book that I'm going to show you is going to have 64 pages. That will be 16 full sheets of paper folded in half, so 32. And then front and back will make 64. But obviously you could do as little as 3 sheets of watercolor paper or a heavier cardstock if you just wanted to maybe art journal once a month in there. 3 sheets would give you 4 sides per sheet, and that would give you all 12 months that you could do on that. Other ideas for papers could be in a calendar. This would make a beautiful front cover for a notebook. Some of the pages within could even be pages in your notebook. So look, like I said, outside the box. Really think outside the box of the different things that you could use for your papers. Now let's take a look at some of the books and ways that I've put some things together. You're going to notice a lot of these pages already have embellishments put on them, different decorations and stuff. We're not going to worry about that in making the basic notebook. Those types of things and different types of covers and more signatures will all be taught in the membership subscription. But here, as we put these together, I recommend getting a lot of these different things. I never put more, usually I should say, I won't say never, but I usually put one of each type of thing in a signature. So I don't put like 6 sheets of just plain paper or, all ledger paper or anything. I like a nice variety in mine, but certainly do whatever you want. So this one is a dyed paper. This one has a patterned paper. There's a little homemade envelope in here. There's some of that journal paper. There's the hem paper, doily. Several embellishments that aren't put in there yet. There's some of the pattern paper again, using the full 12-inch, folded up. And so there's the lined paper from the composition book. Some more music paper folded sideways. Music composition paper going horizontally. We've got a Bible page in here. So there's a few ideas in this one. Let's see. I've got a couple others here. Let's see if they have anything different. This one has smaller cut of paper in there, a very small envelope. There's the tag that you can put in there. It's a doily again. In paper, that's got a lot of this same types of things. But what you're going to want to do is just start putting your papers together in random ways. Just right now, don't even worry about folding them yet. We'll get to that later, but right now, just start picking out your paper and stacking it up in different ways that just make it pleasing to you and make it interesting, make it a nice variety. As I said, we're going to do a one signature book. If you did just plain paper, that you just wanted plain paper to jot things on, maybe you're just wanting a to-do list or a running grocery list or something like that, you could make a booklet as simple as this with just the plain paper, a few sheets of that, and a cardstock on the outside. I told you that you can use those cutouts there. You could use them to decorate the front of a notebook. This one actually is just 8.5 by 11 cardstock that I had that was polka dotted in here. I put my book that goes with the whole journal making course, part of the subscription thing. This one has cardstock in it, and again, just the 3 sheets, but I wanted to show you, if you notice, because that is thicker paper with an 8.5 by 11, it's going to stick out a little more, and you might want to trim that off, or you might not care. Here's another one put together with various types: handwriting paper, music paper, the pretty decorative paper, tea-dyed paper, grid paper, colored notebook paper. Here's the doily used in a different type of way. In here, there's some lined paper with the line going the other way. Here's another use of an envelope in it. This one is the 64 page, like I talked about, the one signature in there. So is this one, with a little more embellishment and different ways in it, with some punches, some stamping, some pockets, some other tags, some lace, different types of bands and pockets and tags, different size of grid paper. It's another thing that you can do, make your own pocket pages that go that direction, stickers, little tabs on the side, little banners. So all different kinds of things you can do to decorate your pages, and like I said, that'll go beyond what we do in the basic class, but this gives you an idea of what we're doing here, what can be done beyond just sewing papers together into a book. You'll notice that one is the one signature, also of 64 pages. This one here has 2 signatures sewn in. They're each sewn in separately and have a little bit bigger spine on this, where these ones are just a folded over spine. This one, again, same size, but this one has 3 signatures in it, so, and a little more decoration. The other thing is your books can be any size you want. All of these that I've shown you here, here's some special event things. This one for a play, this one for a play, this one for Christmas. As you notice, there's different ways of keeping them shut. If you want to do that, we'll talk about that a little bit. But there's different sizes. All of these are a basic 8.5 by 11, which would take your A4 size paper that we're used to of our copy paper or notebook paper, and just folding those in half. So it's an 8.5 by 11 folded in half for most of the pages, and your pages can be any size up to that size, and then the cover being made out of cardstock. But your journals don't have to all be that size, and as we've said, the pages even don't have to all be that size within your journal. This one here is a traveler's notebook size. It's a little thinner, but the same length. Notice the closure on that one is nothing but a hairband that you can pick up at package of several at the Dollar Tree. So again, just a little bit different sized papers, but the same types of papers. Put in this one. And what I really like to do, another thing, is to make small little journals to just throw in your purse or to give as a little gift. And these are great for just making small notes on. These ones are obviously very small, but they can be any size that you'd like. Just have a little notepad in your purse or your pocket to write on for everyday things. So that covers our selection of papers. So go ahead and get started and pick out your pages, like I said, up to 16 pages. They don't have to all be the same size, but we do want to end up with 8.5 by 11. You can use a couple sheets of cardstock within that, but you want most of your pages to be regular paperweight thickness for this journal that we're going to make this week. And I think I've covered everything that I want to cover today, so get those all put together, and then we'll come back in the next session and I'll show you how we actually put them together once you've got them in the order that you want. Thanks, and we'll see you later.